Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. Who told you it was too late? Who whispered in your ear that your time has passed? That your chance is gone, that your best days are behind you? Because I came here to tell you something that might just shake you awake. It's never too late to dream again. It's never too late to reignite that fire, to step into the vision God placed inside of you, to live in the overflow of your calling. Don't miss this. Your dream didn't die. It's just been dormant, waiting for you to breathe life back into it. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you looked back at your life and thought, if only I had made a different choice, if only I had started earlier, if only I hadn't failed? We all do it. We replay the moments we wish we could erase, the opportunities we believe we missed, the dreams we think we let die. But here's the truth that can radically change your perspective. Your past does not define your future. What you've been through, what mistakes you've made, what years you think you've lost, none of it has the power to cancel what God still has in store for you. The past is information, not condemnation. It's a teacher, not a jailer. And the only time your past can imprison you is when you choose to carry it like a chain instead of a lesson. Think about it. Some of the most successful people in history were once written off by others. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking creativity. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Colonel Sanders, at the age of 65, was living off a 105 Social Security check before he started the Kentucky Fried Chicken Empire. Their past could have told them to quit. Their circumstances could have whispered, "It's too late. You've already failed." But they decided to let their past become a stepping stone, not a gravestone. And that's the choice you get to make today. Are you going to let your past define your identity, or are you going to let it refine your destiny? Sometimes people use their past as an excuse, and I want to challenge you on that. Maybe you grew up in poverty. Maybe you've been through a divorce. Maybe you've made financial mistakes, bad investments, or burned bridges in relationships. And now, when the thought of dreaming again rises in your heart, you hear that little voice say, "You can't. You've already messed up too much." But let me flip that script for you. What if your past wasn't the reason you can't, but the very reason you must? What if the pain you've experienced, the lessons you've learned, and the wisdom you've gathered are exactly the tools required for you to step into your purpose with power and authenticity? You see, the past is like a rearview mirror. It's good to glance at it once in a while, but if you try to drive forward while staring at it, you're going to crash. The windshield is always bigger than the rearview mirror because where you're going is so much greater than where you've been. The failures of yesterday are not a prophecy for tomorrow. Every failure, every setback, every broken dream has given you something. Perspective, resilience, hunger, or humility. And those qualities are worth more than gold if you decide to use them. Now let me drop a hook that you need to hold on to. The devil's favorite lie is, it's over for you. But if you're still breathing, it's not over. If you still wake up in the morning, you still have time. And if you still have a vision burning In your heart, no amount of time wasted can cancel it. The only thing that can cancel it is you quitting on it. Stop letting your past serve as the final chapter in your story when it was only meant to be the introduction. Imagine standing on the edge of your dream, looking back at everything you've been through. Imagine finally realizing that nothing was wasted. Not the tears, not the failures, not the delays. They were all preparing you for this moment, the moment when you finally believe again. What if your past setbacks were the training ground for your future success? What if the very thing you thought disqualified you was actually the thing that uniquely qualifies you? The truth is simple, but powerful. Your past is not your prison. It's your preparation. You've got the pen in your hand, and the pages ahead are blank. Stop reading the old chapters and start writing the new ones. The world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to rise, to rebuild, and to show what's possible when someone refuses to be defined by where they've been. So I'll leave you with this hook. Your past is a place of reference, not residence. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become after it. And if you decide right now, in this moment, that your past will no longer hold you back, then you've already taken the first step into a future that looks nothing like your yesterday. Let me ask you something. What dream have you placed on the shelf because you thought your age, your mistakes, or your circumstances disqualified you from pursuing it? Too many people live with the idea that there's an expiration date on their dreams, as if you're only allowed to chase them in your 20s or 30s. And if you miss that window, it's over. But here's the liberating truth. You are never too old, never too broken, never too late to dream again. If you're still alive, that means your purpose hasn't expired. God didn't wake you up this morning to remind you of what you lost. He woke you up to remind you that there is still more ahead. There's a trap many people fall into, and I call it the someday syndrome. Someday I'll write that book. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll travel the world. But here's the hook. Someday is not a day of the week. It doesn't exist on your calendar. The only days you have are yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And the only one you can act on is today. When you delay your dreams, you're really delaying your destiny. The tragedy isn't that people grow old. The tragedy is that they stop dreaming long before their bodies stop living. Look at history, and you'll see countless examples of people who refuse to let age or time stop them. Laura Ingalls Wilder didn't publish her first Little House book until she was 65. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, but when he walked out at 71, he didn't say, "My life is behind me." He said, "My purpose is ahead of me," and went on to lead a nation. Ray Kroc was 52 when he bought McDonald's. Vera Wang didn't design her first dress until she was 40. These stories are proof that as long as you can breathe, you can still believe. The biggest obstacle is not time, it's belief. The moment you stop believing that your dream is possible, you bury it. And when you bury it, you convince yourself that you're just existing instead of living. But here's the challenge. What if you dared to pick that dream back up again? What if you believed that the years you think you wasted weren't wasted at all, but were actually years of preparation, seasoning, and wisdom that make you more qualified now than you were back then? What if the dream you let go of was waiting for the version of you that you've become through experience, pain, and growth? Here's another hook. You need to write on the tablet of your heart. You don't need more years. You need more yes. The moment you say yes to the possibility of your dream again, the resources, the relationships, the opportunities start aligning. But the yes has to come from you first. Too many people are waiting on a sign when God is waiting on their yes. You're waiting for the right time when the truth is the right time begins when you decide. And let's be honest, fear is the biggest thief of late dreams. Fear whispers, what if you fail again? What if people laugh at you? What if you don't have enough time left? But what if you succeed? What if people are inspired because you tried? What if you discover that the last chapter of your life is the most impactful one? That's the possibility fear doesn't want you to see. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine yourself 10 years from now. Imagine you did nothing, you stayed where you are, you ignored that dream. How would you feel? Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you started today, took one small step, and then another, and a year from now, you're further than you ever thought you'd be. 10 years from now, you're living a reality you once thought was impossible. Which vision excites you more? Which future will you choose? You are not too late because purpose doesn't retire. Destiny doesn't expire. And dreams don't have deadlines. They have lifelines. And that lifeline is your decision to believe again. It's not about what's behind you. It's about what's still possible in front of you. The graveyard is full of dreams that died not because they were impossible, but because someone stopped believing they could happen. Don't let your dream be one of them. So here's the challenge for you right now. Pick it back up. Dust it off. Breathe into it. Speak life over it. And then take one step, even if it's small, because if you can believe again, you can build again. If you can dream again, you can live again. Let me start with a question. What if the very setbacks you've been trying to run from were actually the stepping stones to your greatest comeback? You see, life has a way of knocking us down. Maybe it was a failed business, a broken relationship, a health challenge, or a dream that slipped through your fingers when you thought you were closest to achieving it. Most people take those moments as proof that they should stop dreaming. They think failure is the end of the story. But here's the truth: failure is not a tombstone, it's a turning point. Every setback carries the seed of a greater comeback if you refuse to quit. Think about it this way. If you've fallen, it means you were moving. People who never attempt anything never fall, but they also never rise. So the fact that you've stumbled is evidence that you were on the path toward something bigger. The comeback doesn't happen by avoiding failure. It happens when you embrace it as part of the process. Every dreamer who has ever achieved anything significant can tell you stories about their scars, their losses, their disappointments. But those weren't wasted moments. They were training grounds. They were shaping their resilience. sharpening their vision, and toughening their spirit so that when the breakthrough came, they were strong enough to carry it. Let me give you a hook to hold on to. Failure is not final unless you make it final. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper job because they said he lacked imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Imagine if they had allowed their setbacks to become their stopping points. The world would be darker, emptier, and far less inspired. Your story, too, isn't defined by the fall. It's defined by the rise that follows. But here's what makes comebacks powerful. They're not just about bouncing back to where you were. They're about rising higher than where you started. That's why you can't just look at failure as a detour. You have to see it as a divine setup. Sometimes God allows the door to close, the opportunity to vanish, or the plan to collapse, not to destroy you, but to redirect you. What looks like a setback in the natural can actually be a setup in the spiritual. That loss, that delay, that heartbreak may have been the very thing needed to point you toward a greater destiny you couldn't see before. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. You can't have a great comeback without a great setback. The reason we love comeback stories is because they defy the odds. They inspire us to see what's possible. And maybe that's why your journey has been so hard, why you've been pushed down so many times. Because the weight of your setback is going to make your comeback that much more impactful. You are writing a story that will inspire others who feel like quitting. You're carrying a testimony that will breathe life into people who are one step away from giving up. The key is to shift your perspective. Instead of saying, "Why did this happen to me?" start asking, "What is this preparing me for?" That question changes everything. Suddenly, failure isn't a dead end, it's a detour toward growth. Pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. And disappointment isn't the conclusion, it's the introduction to a new chapter. When you frame your setbacks this way, you'll discover they didn't break you, they built you. Let me leave you with this hook. You might have been knocked down, but you're not knocked out. Life may have counted you down, but it never rang the bell. As long as you're breathing, your fight is not finished. That means your best days aren't behind you, they're still ahead. And when you rise, you won't just rise for yourself. You'll rise as a living reminder to others that no fall is permanent and no failure is final. Your comeback story is waiting. The question is, will you stay down or will you get back up and write the chapter that proves to the world and to yourself that your dream is still alive? Let me ask you something. What if the reason you haven't stepped into your next level is because you've been carrying yesterday's identity into today's opportunities? See, one of the greatest obstacles to dreaming again isn't lack of talent, resources, or even time. It's the old version of yourself that keeps whispering, "This is who you are. This is how far you can go. This is all you can expect." But here's the truth. The moment you choose to dream again, you have to give yourself permission to evolve. You cannot step into a new future while dragging around an outdated identity. If you want something different, you've got to become someone different. Here's a hook. If you don't outgrow your past will outgrow your future. Too many people live their lives rehearsing old failures, reliving past disappointments, and rehashing stories of who they were. They let other people's labels stick to them like glue, and then wonder why their dreams feel too heavy to carry. Let me be clear. Your past may explain you, but it does not define you. The person you used to be was necessary to get you here, but the person you are becoming is the one who will take you there. That means it's time to release what no longer serves you. Think about it. If you upgrade your phone every few years, why would you not upgrade your mindset? Technology is always evolving, but so is your spirit, your vision, and your capacity. The tragedy is that most people live life with yesterday's software running in their soul, trying to open doors designed for tomorrow. That's why opportunities slip away. They don't recognize them, or they don't feel worthy of them because they're still operating from an outdated version of themselves. If you want to dream again, you've got to download a new belief system that matches the size of the life you're reaching for. And here's where the real breakthrough happens. Your identity will always set the thermostat for your results. If you see yourself as small, you will shrink in every room you enter. If you see yourself as unworthy, you will sabotage blessings when they show up. If you see yourself as limited, you will overlook opportunities that could change your life. But when you raise your identity, when you align who you believe you are with the dream you're chasing, suddenly everything starts shifting. You don't just pursue the dream. You attract it because you're finally operating on the same frequency. Let me tell you something powerful. Your dream isn't waiting for more resources. It's waiting for a stronger version of you. That vision you've been carrying isn't delayed because the world is against you. It's delayed because you haven't yet stepped into the identity that can sustain it. God will not give you a blessing you're not prepared to hold. So the moment you shift your mindset, elevate your habits, and begin to embody the person who belongs in that dream, doors will open that you couldn't pry open before. And here's the hook that changes everything. Don't just dream of doing more, dream of becoming more. Because when you become more, doing more becomes inevitable. Stop asking, can I have this? And start declaring, I am the kind of person who creates this. Stop waiting for permission from others and start giving yourself permission to evolve. The real miracle isn't when the dream manifests, it's when you transform into the person who makes the dream inevitable. So let me remind you, it's never too late to dream again, but it will always require you to release an old version of yourself. The past version of you might have survived heartbreak, disappointment, and failure. But the new version of you is about to thrive in purpose, abundance, and possibility. When you let go of who you were, you step boldly into who you were always meant to be. That's when the dream you thought was gone comes rushing back, stronger and clearer than ever, waiting for you to claim it. Let me tell you something that most people overlook. Dreams don't just require belief, they require consistency. Anyone can get excited in the moment. Anyone can light a spark when the vision first hits their heart. But very few are willing to keep showing up when the excitement fades, when the progress feels invisible, when the results are slower than expected. The truth is, success is not built in sudden bursts of inspiration. It's carved out through daily discipline, through showing up when no one is watching, through small actions that compound over time into extraordinary outcomes. Here's a hook you need to hold onto. Greatness isn't built in the spotlight, it's built in the shadows. The stage doesn't make you great. It only reveals the greatness you've been building when nobody was applauding. That means your consistency is your secret weapon. Every day you choose to show up, even when it feels like nothing is happening, you're actually laying bricks for a foundation strong enough to hold the weight of your dream. It may look like nothing to the outside world, but you're stacking progress step by step until one day everyone else calls it overnight success. But let's get real. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's not always exciting. It's waking up earlier than you want to. It's studying when you'd rather scroll your phone. It's practicing when nobody's clapping. It's pushing forward when results are invisible. The majority quit because they confuse lack of visible results with lack of progress. They don't realize the seed takes time to break through the soil. What you're doing right now may feel hidden, but it's not wasted. The soil doesn't reveal the root system, but it's being developed nonetheless. That's what consistency does. It grows your roots deep enough to sustain the fruit you've been dreaming about. Think about it this way. Every time you show up, you're making a deposit into your future. Every discipline choice is a vote for the person you are becoming. The power of consistency is that it turns discipline into destiny. You don't wake up one day successful by accident. It's the accumulation of thousands of small decisions that nobody saw, but everybody will one day admire. When you keep showing up, when you refuse to quit, when you commit to the process, even when the promise feels far away, that's when you separate yourself from the masses who gave up too soon. And here's a hook that should shake you. Inconsistency kills more dreams than failure ever will. Failure is just feedback, but inconsistency is surrender. If you fail, you can learn, adjust, and rise again. But if you stop showing up, the dream dies in silence. That's why consistency is more powerful than talent, more impactful than luck, and more necessary than inspiration. Inspiration fades, but consistency endures. When you commit to showing up, no matter what, you become unstoppable, because nothing external can dictate your internal standard. Consistency also does something else. It builds trust. People don't follow talent, they follow trust. And trust is built when you show up the same way day after day. When your actions align with your words, when your habits align with your vision, when your daily grind aligns with your ultimate goal, that's when people start believing in you, because they see that you believe in yourself. You don't just inspire others with big speeches. You inspire them with consistent action. So let me say this with urgency. Don't despise the days of small progress. Don't underestimate the power of showing up today, even if yesterday felt like a failure. Because every day you show up, you're moving the needle closer to the life you desire. Every day you stay consistent, you're creating momentum, and momentum is the invisible force that takes ordinary people to extraordinary places. The truth is, consistency makes you dangerous because while others are quitting, while others are waiting for the perfect moment, you're building, you're growing, you're preparing. And when your time comes, you'll be ready to seize it. The dream doesn't belong to the one who starts fast. It belongs to the one who refuses to stop. That's why your consistency is proof to yourself and the world that your dream isn't just a wish, it's a commitment. Every day you show up, you're casting a vote for the future you want to create. And one day those votes add up into the breakthrough you've been waiting for. The question is, will you keep showing up long enough to see it? Let me tell you something that will shift the way you look at your future. Community is the multiplier of destiny. You can have all the vision in the world. You can have the fire in your heart. You can even have the discipline to keep going. But if you're surrounded by the wrong people, you will eventually shrink to the size of your environment. On the other hand, when you align yourself with the right community, the right voices, the right mentors, you accelerate growth in ways that would have been impossible on your own. Your environment will either suffocate your dream or breathe life into it. The question is, who are you allowing to shape your environment? Here's the truth most people ignore. Isolation kills momentum. You weren't designed to climb mountains alone. Every great success story has a supporting cast, people who poured in wisdom, encouragement, accountability, or resources at just the right time. The myth of the self-made person is just that, a myth. The reality is that greatness is never built in isolation, it's built in collaboration. If you want to dream again, if you want to chase a future that feels bigger than you, then you must surround yourself with people who remind you of what's possible when you start to forget. Think about this. Your future is contagious. Spend enough time with people who are fearful, bitter, and stuck, and before long you'll inherit their mindset. But place yourself around people who think bigger, who live with courage, who refuse to settle, and suddenly your own belief system begins to expand. You start to dream at their level, not because you've changed your DNA, but because you've changed your environment. That's the power of community. It lifts your ceiling higher than you could lift it alone. Let me give you a hook that should shake you awake if you're the smartest, richest, or most driven person in the room. You're in the wrong room. Comfort zones are dangerous because they trick you into thinking you're advancing when you're actually standing still. The right community doesn't just comfort you, it challenges you. It doesn't let you shrink, it stretches you. It doesn't just celebrate your victories, it calls you higher when you've settled for less than your potential. That's the kind of circle that will push you into the future your heart longs for. But let's get practical. Community isn't just about having people around you. It's about being intentional about who those people are. Ask yourself, do the people in my circle fuel my faith or feed my fear? Do they call me to a higher standard or allow me to stay average? Do they encourage me when I fall, or do they laugh when I fail? Because the truth is, you can't carry old relationships into a new destiny. Some people are part of your past chapter, but they're not meant to be part of your future story. And that's okay. Release them with love, but don't let loyalty to the wrong crowd keep you from aligning with the right community. Here's another hook for you. Proximity is power. The closer you get to the people who live at the level you aspire to, the faster you will rise. Not because they hand you success, but because being around them raises your standards. It makes what once felt impossible now feel normal. And when something feels normal, it becomes attainable. That's why investing in the right mentors, surrounding yourself with ambitious peers, and aligning with faith-filled, forward-thinking people is not optional. It's essential. And let me remind you of this community also creates accountability. When you're on your own, excuses are easy. Nobody notices when you cut corners. Nobody calls you out when you settle. But when you're surrounded by people who believe in your potential, excuses become harder to hold onto. They remind you of who you are when you forget. They don't let you throw away the gift inside you just because the journey got tough. That accountability is not restriction, it's freedom. Freedom to stay aligned with the dream, freedom to keep pushing when quitting feels easier, freedom to reach the finish line you would have walked away from alone. So if you want to dream again, don't just dream in silence. Find your circle, build your tribe, invest in community. Because while your dream may start in your heart, it grows in the soil of relationships. The right voices will ignite the flame when it flickers. The right mentors will give you strategy when you're stuck. And the right community will remind you that it's never too late to become who you were meant to be. So as I close, remember this: if you're still breathing, you're still becoming. If you're still alive, God's not done. It's never too late to write the book, start the business, rebuild the relationship, or create the future you've always wanted. The clock may be ticking, but your dream is still alive. Don't let doubt rob you of your destiny. Don't let fear bury your future. Stand up, take a deep breath, and say it with me. It's never too late to dream again. And when you dream again, don't just dream small. Dream so big that it scares you. Dream so bold that it inspires others. And dream with the kind of faith that says, if God is for me, who can be against me? Because the world doesn't need another average life. It needs your dream in action. And the time to bring it back to life is not tomorrow, not someday. The time is now.